What's up, everybody? Welcome to episode 25 of Breaking Bats, presented to you by Not For Long Media. I'm your host, Brian O'Grady. With me, my co-host, J.A. Justin Ayers. J.A., what a day, what a night, pure chaos, pure electricity. We were right about Soto going to the pods. Just got to say that.
Hashtag Brian was right. Yeah.
But what a slight debacle that that kind of was. It just, man, I'm paying attention to it a little bit more this year, but I feel like this was the craziest slash most active trade deadline ever. What do you got?
I mean, I certainly think it is. I can't think of anybody else like the player, the caliber of Juan Soto being dealt. I mean, I'm trying to think back. I don't even know what else would compare to that. Maybe Zach Greinke getting dealt. Um,
Time ago.
yeah, that was a big one. I think Yoenis Cespedes and John Lester. I feel like they got dealt at some point. But it was insane. The fact that you were on this weird time difference didn't help your case. As we'll talk about with the Soto deal here just in a second. Your sleep schedule's all messed up, but you know what? The trade deadline doesn't sleep, and neither should you. So we have to power through. But we do have one last thing before we get into all of that. This episode is brought to you guys by our sponsor of the podcast, Som Sleep. Som Sleep's beverages are specially formulated to promote relaxation, something that Brian probably could have used about 12 hours ago. Maintain a normal sleep cycle and support healthy sleep patterns. All you need to do is drink it 30 minutes before you're ready to go to bed. It helps you unwind after a long day of watching baseball Twitter on trades on Twitter, and you're good to go. Go to getsom.com, click shop, and enter the code BATS at checkout. That is BATS, BATS at checkout, and that'll give you 10% off your order of Som Sleep. We mentioned it. We're gonna start our episode this week by, unfortunately, talking about Juan Soto being dealt from my Nationals to Brian's Padres. It's a deal that, like we said, Brian predicted it. The Padres, I think they did that little hand gesture to all their top prospects. They said, "See you later, buddy." They shipped them all to DC, and they put Luke Voit in that deal too, which we'll touch on in a second. But I'm going to break it down for you. I'm going to paint a picture for you. Juan Soto and Josh Bell were traded to the San Diego Padres today. The fact that they threw Bell in there is bananas. They got back James Wood, an outfielder who's like 7 feet tall. Robert Hassel, a third, like a 2020 outfield prospect. The Padres' #1 prospect. Left-handed starting pitcher Mackenzie Gore, who had like elbow discomfort and is currently on the IL. Hopefully that's not too serious. Shortstop CJ Abrams. Right-handed pitcher Yarlene Susana, this 18-year-old kid who throws like 100 miles an hour. And Luke Voit. But the funny part of all of this is that Luke Voit was almost Eric Hosmer for a while, but Hosmer had a 10-team no-trade list, and unfortunately the Nationals were on there, and he declined to waive it to come to the nation's capital. So, a lot to break down. Juan Soto is now a San Diego Padre. Brian, what do you think?
First reaction, man. What a Padres, man. What a 1-2-3 that is going to be with Toddy, Soto, and Manny. I don't know, man. That very well could be the best 1-2-3. I mean, in a while. I can't think of. I'm sure people are gonna say come up with some answers to that, but I can't think of a better 1-2-3 in the league right now, and really off the top of my head for some years. It's just going to be electric, man. San Diego, that stadium when Soto makes his debut, and when Toddy comes back, oh boy, those games are going to be wild. And the best part, well, Toddy's still probably, I think he's probably a week away from being back in the major leagues. But they play the Dodgers in like 2 days. They got a series, they got a series against the Dodgers. So right away, we're gonna see it. But man, and then Bell. When I saw that in there too, I mean, he's a great player. He can swing it. So to add both of those guys, uh, it's hard to say that the Dodgers aren't the favorites over there anymore. But I feel like the Padres I finally got him. I do. So, there's a lot of season left. The Dodgers are still a very good team and have done it. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But man, Padres without a doubt won the trade deadline with some of the other trades we'll get to too. But just with this one specifically, I mean, I said it before and I meant it. Soto, and Bell on top of that, you send the prospects. You send the prospects. They're gone. And that's exactly what Preller did. I know people think very highly of the kid James Wood and Robert Hassel. I heard the Susanna kid throws absolute gas and is like 6'6", and he's 18 or 19. Mackenzie Gore, man, has top of the rotation stuff. Obviously, the Nationals feel comfortable with whatever the medicals were with his elbow soreness or whatever it was that just happened. But he's kind of having his breakout year. Still young. Was the number one pitching prospect in baseball for a few years there. And then Abrams has made his debut. Tough. He's very talented. I think he's going to be a good major leaguer. He's still young. I don't even know if he's 21 yet, but a little bit of a tough situation for him there in San Diego because he hasn't played that many games in the minor leagues. He's talented as can be. Hasn't played that many games. You throw him right in there, and then he isn't playing every day. So that's just a tough situation. So and his numbers aren't even that bad in the major league. So whatever his numbers are, he's definitely going to be a mainstay in Washington at some point. And then, the Luke Voigt gets thrown in there. Hosmer, listen, Hosmer put the Nationals on that no trade clause for a reason, and it's absolutely his right to say no. So I good for Haas. I don't blame him at all. And when you look at it from his situation or his point of view there, he went to San Diego and signed that deal. I think it was 8 years at the time. And, they weren't very good in the beginning. Manny came and, Toddy, he was there for the kind of turnaround that it's turned into. He loved it there. He got a house out there. Those are his guys on that team. And I'm sure it hurt to be told that they were trying to send him to DC in this deal while his boys were picking up Soto and Bell and were being excited for their World Series aspirations and all that, and didn't want to go to the worst team in baseball right now, and that's understandable. So I like it for him though too. He ends up in Boston and a place that needs a first baseman and a cool city and obviously all the history there, and they still have a chance to be a good team and moving forward. So it's good for him. But yeah, Voigt, man, poor Voigt. They interviewed him asking about, his take on Soto coming and how excited he was and everything in the clubhouse. And then later on, he gets thrown into the deal. So that sucks. Feel bad for Voigt. But Padres fans got to be happy. Preller. Two things about Preller, and then I'll send it on to you. Preller busts his ass straight up. I mean, that guy is all over the place. I don't think anybody goes to see players more than Preller. See high school, college, like amateur players, or even guys in the minor leagues that could be targets. But especially the amateur stuff, man, I don't think anybody does as much as Preller and his close guys there. So finding new prospects, they'll do. I mean, they'll do it. They'll find guys. Even if these guys are going to be good players, they'll find guys to replace them. And the second part is he's not afraid. He's, they're going for it. Obviously, Mr. Seidler, the owner there, is going for it too, as they should, which is awesome. So I'm just excited to see how the rest of this season plays out.
It's a lot to unpack there. I'll hit on a couple things. I think the reason they had to include Josh Bell in this deal was because the Nationals really wanted that Susana kid, or I don't know how, maybe I'm pronouncing his name wrong, but that 18-year-old right-handed pitcher who throws like 100 miles an hour and is like 7 feet tall. I think they really liked him a lot. Mike Rizzo made sure to make a point of that, the Nationals general manager, when he spoke to the media today. So it was unfortunate because I really wanted Josh Bell to be included in, or to be like the centerpiece of his own deal. Because, I mean, he's a first baseman. I know he's kind of like a rental. He's a free agent at the end of the year, but it's a 300 power hitting first baseman. So I don't see why he, was lumped into a Soto deal. So I feel like Soto on his own could have got back all the prospects that came back today. So that was a little bit weird. And you mentioned Hosmer. I was really excited for about an hour when I saw that he was coming to DC, because I was like, we have a name. The Nationals right now don't have a name. There's no Strasburg. He's obviously going to be hurt. I think he might just retire. I have nothing to back that up, but I can't see him coming back from all these injuries. Patrick Corbin has been the worst statistical pitcher in baseball the last 3 years. There's no household names in DC for us to kind of, as a fan base, wrap our arms around and love dearly. And that would have been Hosmer. And I would have won out. I would have went up to Fanatics and bought his jersey in a heartbeat. So I was robbed of that. Hopefully Luke Voigt will fill that void for me. That remains to be seen. But I think as a whole, I think the prospect package felt a little bit light, especially for everything I just mentioned, including Bell in there. Look, I looked at these prospects. I've looked at MLB Pipeline religiously today. I'm not sold on it. But, I think given the circumstances, they did okay, not great. I give it a C. That's my draft. That's my grade for the Nationals. Give it a C. You gave up the best hitter since Ted Williams, and you got back, I don't know. They seem cool. What's your snap grade for this?
For the Padres, it's an A plus. For the Nationals, I'll give it a C plus because I mean it's a good return. Honestly, it's a good return, but it doesn't matter. It's not good enough. There was no way it was going to be good enough. So C plus. I think in the circumstances, probably about the best they could do. But like you said, there's doesn't matter.
And they went out and they found Juan Soto, and he was just a pudgy, 16, 17-year-old kid in the Dominican. And I think he was pitching at the time. But they're like, hey, let's put this guy in the outfield, see what happens. And they found magic in a bottle with him. So it sucks. There's a part of me that hopes that they're going to be able to find the next Juan Soto, but I'm not entirely sure. So that's kind of the Juan Soto trade. I looked up the lineup for MLB Network, had a potential Padres lineup, and I wanted to get your take on it. It's going to be Tatis leading off, which I thought was interesting. He's at short, Soto and right batting second, Manny at third, batting third, Josh Bell batting fourth, playing first, Jake Cronenworth batting fifth, playing second base, Profar in left, Brandon Drury from the Reds, who we'll talk about, your DH, Nola and Alfaro at catcher, and then Trent Grisham. That's your potential Padres lineup. I like it. I like it a lot. What do you think about it?
That's a great lineup. That's exactly how I would do it at the top there for sure. It'll be interesting to see, with the Drury, which we'll get to in a second. They could always, if they want Bell to DH, they could slide Cronenworth to first base, even though he's a phenomenal second baseman. But they could slide him to first and have Drury play second. I know Drury's played mostly third and second this year. Obviously, he's not going to be playing third, but he can on some days and let Manny take a break, which is nice too. Even though you obviously want Manny's glove out there, but yeah, they could move Cronenworth to first, have Drury play second, DH Bell. But man, that's a good lineup. That's a good lineup. Grish is typically a very good defensive center fielder. I know he's had a little bit of struggles at times this year, but typically he's very good out there. So you have a good up the middle, and Soto and Profar's been really swinging it lately too. So you have him and he's been playing pretty good left field. So you have him out there, and man, that's
pretty deep.
They're my pick in the NL now. They are. biases aside, they really are. I think that team gets to the World Series.
Isn't Nomar Mazara there and swinging it pretty good?
Yeah, but now I don't think the bench is going to look like and this is off the top of my head. I'm not, they made another small trade. They traded Brett Rooker, who was on the 40 man, for Cam Gallagher, who is a catcher from the Royals. I don't know if Gallagher was still in the big leagues or if he was in AAA or if he's on the roster still. So that's something. So I don't know if the Padres needed to clear a 40-man spot, and that's why they traded Rooker. But that bench is looking something like Mazzara, Will Myers, the odd cat, whoever's not catching that day, and
Forgot about
Ha-Sung Kim. Ha-Sung Kim's been having a better year too, and has been swinging it better lately. And I mean, he's a good defender, so they have some versatility and some guys. So yeah, it's looking like a deep team now, man.
Absolutely. Yeah, I completely forgot about Will Myers. That's a big bat off the bench whenever they need it.
Yeah, that's dude, and then I mean, Toddy hasn't played the entire year, bro. He's like arguably the best player in the major leagues. So you add Soto to this team, and then you bring Tatis back. Like, I would love to be there for that first game when Tatis comes back too, because I'm telling you, that stadium, those fans, it's gonna be bonkers at that place for that game. And I mean, they're gonna keep coming out, but especially that game. And then whenever they play the Dodgers at home with that team, oh man, crazy.
Jealous of all Padres fans. And hey, I'm watching the Nationals though. They're beating up on the Mets tonight, so I don't think we needed Juan Soto at all. Might have been holding the team back if you ask me. That's just my 2 cents. I did want to touch a little bit more on the Hosmer trade. So obviously did not get included in the Nationals part of that deal, but they did ship him to Boston. They shipped him up to Boston. The Padres are paying 44 of the 46 million he's owed, so Boston's only on the hook for some comically low amount of money through the end of the 2025 season. Some lesser known prospects they even sent some prospects with Hosmer to Boston. That was kind of odd when I read that, but how do you think Hosmer fits in the Red Sox lineup? And how does he fit in at Fenway? The Green Monster, the short porch and right. Like, what do you think?
I think first of all, I think he fits in great. They need a first baseman. He fills that hole. He's a good clubhouse presence, which everyone says, but it's the truth. He'll reunite with Strom up there, so he already knows him. But man, that's Devers, Bogarts, Story, and Hosmer in a healthy infield is pretty good right there. So, for him, I think he didn't want to go to a team that wasn't competing. And Boston, I know they traded Vasquez, but they're and then also reunite with Tommy Pham over there too, which was another interesting trade. But it's a good situation because even if they miss the playoffs this year, next year they're going to be right back at it trying to win. So for him, still competing this year, but if not next year, he knows we're right back at it. So I think that's huge for him. The trade is weird because the whole time they're saying they want to get rid of his money. Now I guess that technically means, and I don't know exactly how the financials work, but I guess it's off the books for the luxury tax purposes would be my guess, because they're still paying the vast majority of his salary. So I guess it just has to be off the books so they stay under that threshold. I'm not positive, because otherwise it doesn't really make any sense. And they attach prospects to it. I feel like they would attach prospects to it for them to pay his money, but they're not. But they're not paying his money, so
Yeah,
it's I don't know. It's kind of confusing. But obviously, once the Nationals thing came out and the no trade clause stuff, like, tough to come back from that, I guess. Especially since there's been rumors about this since last year.
yeah.
So I think they just had to get something done, and maybe that's what it was going to take. But overall, I like it for Haas and I like it for the Red Sox.
I like it too. First base has been a problem for them. I feel like you mentioned in Boston, but they do have a lot of guys. There's Tristan Casas, Dahlbeck. I feel like is still there. Yeah, they
He's
just
yeah. He's been playing
so
third. Devers is hurt right now, so
okay.
Dahlbeck's been playing third. But you got the DH spot there too. So well, JD Martinez. But um,
Yeah,
I the other thing is I agree with what you're saying. But if they went to get Hosmer like that, I guess you could platoon. You could start Dahlbeck there against righty. If Devers is healthy, you could start Dahlbeck there against lefties and Haas against righties if that's what you really wanted to do. But also, if you wanted, if you're feeling good about those other guys, you probably don't go and take Hosmer. So I don't know what those in the minors or AAA what Cassis is doing or whatever, but Hein Bloom is a Rays guy, so he sees something. That's all. That's all I'll say.
absolutely.
Sorry.
Yeah. So, congrats to Haas on getting into a winning situation up there in Boston. The next, we're gonna stick with the Padres. It's a lot of moves. Your guy, Preller Palooza continued. The Padres acquired Brandon Drury from the Cincinnati Reds. The very versatile Brandon Drury, you mentioned him, second base, third base, a little outfield mixed in. In exchange, they got the Padres gave up their number 8 prospect, shortstop Victor Acosta. So 20 home runs for Brandon Drury this year. It's a career year. What do you think? I mean, that's a killer move under the radar, I feel like.
Yeah, this was a surprise one that I saw this morning. Drury having a resurgent season for sure, a very very good season. It'll be interesting to see how he fits in there. Like we were saying earlier, my guess would be either it depends if they want Bell at first base or if they want to slide Cronenworth over there, or maybe even try to have Drury play first base. I don't know, but it's another bat. Like you said, he's having a great season. The only thing that makes me kind of wary in this trade is, last year they traded for Adam Frazier, and then they kind of bounced him around. He didn't play some games. He wasn't starting some of the time, and Pittsburgh, he led off every day and played second base or whatever it was. And Drury's been starting every game in Cincinnati basically this year and is in that kind of comfort of that. So if he's not starting every day or whatever, what kind of effect will that have on his numbers and how he's hitting? That's the only thing. I would assume they're going to put him in the lineup. But like we said, that lineup is deep now. You're talking about if Drury's hitting 6, that's a 20. You already got 20 homer guy hitting in your 6 hole, so that's pretty good. I don't know how many homers Soto has, but I think Drury will have the most homers on the Padres for sure. I don't think anybody else has 20 there. I think Manny has like 15 or something. So it's a good trade. It's worth the shot for sure, and I'm interested to see how they just set up the whole lineup.
Yeah, you're right. I think Soto has 21 actually. So, but
Does he
Soto's only
really?
batting
Wow.
yeah, Soto's only batting 246 this year, but his on base is over
Oh,
400. So it's kind of the trade off there. I love this
there.
move. Yeah.
Go ahead. I'll go
No,
afterwards.
no, I was just gonna say I love this move for the Padres. I think Brandon Drury is very kind of I think he's like late 20s, early 30s. So kind of been waiting to have this breakout season to go to San Diego. I think it'll fit well. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, he's had a good season or two before. I think with the Blue Jays, and then he's just kind of I don't know fell off. I seen he went back and did, adjusted his swing and stuff, and he's having this year. So good for him. But yeah, I think he's 29. But yeah, Soto, that's hilarious. Soto's hitting 246, which is fine, honestly, in today's game. But the on base, this is what people don't understand. 246 with a 400 on base percentage is fucking absurd. That is phenomenal. It's phenomenal. It's better than the guy who's hitting 290 with a 330 on base percentage, you fucking people. So what? Look at that and not the average. And also his slug's probably ridiculous. 21 homers. Yeah. He's hitting four. He's got 400 on base percentage. And he's got 21 homers, and everyone's like, "Oh, he's having a down year. God, bad year."
Well,
It's
when you look at
unbelievable.
last year, he had 313. So
Yeah,
it's a little jarring when you see his average down that low. But the homers
I
are
would
obviously
go.
there.
I would bet that he's having worse luck this year than he did last year. That he's hitting the ball just about as hard,
Mm-hmm.
and that his BABIP batting average balls in play is probably down. But whatever. We don't need to dive into that right now.
It's all right. Well, you mentioned the Jays. The Blue Jays, they pulled off a very confusing move, is how I would call this. They acquired Whit Merrifield from the Kansas City Royals today. They acquired Whit Merrifield and the Blue Jays number 16 prospect, Samad Taylor, and 23-year-old right-handed pitcher Max Castillo for Whit Merrifield. I don't really understand this move at all because first of all, Whit's unvaccinated, and to play in Canada, you have to be vaccinated. I think he did say that he would get vaccinated if he went to a contender, which we'll just leave that one alone. But that's good. That's an interesting component. So shout out Whit. But I don't know what, they don't really have a spot for him. They have this guy, Santiago Espinal is their all-star second baseman. Bichette, Chapman. So there's not really an infield spot for Whit. And in the outfield, they got Springer. They have all these guys. I guess Springer's hurt, so that maybe that could work out a little bit. But and then I guess when he comes back, he could DH. But I don't know. I don't really know why Toronto did this. I feel like other teams, like the White Sox, probably could have used this guy a lot better. And while Witt's having a down year this year compared to last year when he was an All-Star. But I don't know, man. What do you think about Whit to the Jays?
He can really hit. I mean, I think he's been leading the league in hits for the past couple of years. This year's down a little bit, but yeah, it's a curious fit. But man, when I when you have the opportunity to add talent, man, it never hurts. So I'm sure they already see whatever that fit is. But he's versatile. Yeah, he can play infield, he can play outfield. So I guess if you want to give guys days off for certain matchups or you just want to move around, um, it's a good ad. Yeah, maybe it'll help Springer DH a little bit because I do feel like he gets hurt fairly often in their outfit. I know Teoscar Hernandez is out there. I can't think of. I know they put
Lourdes
Raymond
Gurriel
Tapia is
Jr.
out there a little bit,
Yeah.
and yeah, Gurriel Jr. So I don't know. I don't off the top of my head. I don't know the exact fit, but Witt can really swing it. And at the end of the day, that's all. That's all that matters. And they're going to figure out how to use them because the Jays are they're going for it too. They got to beat the Yankees somehow, and that's looking kind of hard at the moment. So you get good players on your team, it never hurts.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing. Get the talent and figure out a spot for him later. I guess that's Witt's having a down year. He's batting 240 and an OPS plus 81 this year. So pretty tough for the guy who played all 162 and was an all-star last year. But my snap grades for this, I'm gonna give Toronto a C minus. And I'm gonna give Kansas City, I don't know who these other people are, but I'm gonna give them a B. So
I'm gonna flip it. I'm gonna go Toronto B plus because Witt is a good player. And I'm gonna go Kansas City a C because, like you said, I don't even know who these guys are, and they just traded one of their guys. They've been rumored to get traded for what?
He's a long time. I think he was drafted like 2010 by them, so he's been in their system forever.
Long time. I feel like they've been talking about him getting traded for a long time, and they just when his value was at the lowest, they finally do it, and whatever.
Yeah,
I'm not a GM.
Well,
I just make snap grades.
Yep, that's why I love snap grades. Force feed me All these like instant reaction, B plus, whatever, Bleacher Report. I'll read every single one of those. I have another fun one for you. This is your Philadelphia Phillies. They went out and acquired Noah Syndergaard from the Angels. Mickey Moniak and Jadiel Sanchez are going back to LA in return. Mickey Moniak was the first overall pick in the 2016 draft, and 47 career games at the big league level. He's batting 129. So less than stellar for Mickey. Syndergaard's having a pretty solid year. 15 starts, 80 innings, a 3.83 ERA. And now this Phillies rotation with him in it will have Nola, Wheeler, Kyle Gibson, Ranger Suarez, and of course, Noah Syndergaard. So Thor coming to Philly, the city brotherly love. What do you think?
I like it. Phillies always need pitching. And there's another side to this trade too. They actually made a second trade. I think it was separate from this, but the Angels sent Brandon Marsh to the Phillies too, who's an outfielder. So they lose Moniak, but they get Marsh. They also DFA'd Adubel Herrera.
Yep.
So it looks like Marsh may be their guy in center field now, but Moniak was having a phenomenal spring training after apparently making some swing changes. And then in the exhibition game, right before the season started, got hit in the hand by a pitch and broke something in his hand. So that kind of threw off his start to the year. So whatever he's hitting this year, take a little bit of a grain of salt. But Syndergaard, man, adds to that rotation. The Phillies are good, and they're missing Harper. But sat on here and talked about how managers are take more of the heat than they deserve. And since Rob Thompson took over after Girardi was fired, the Phillies have been like phenomenal. So what the fuck do I know? But Phillies get Harper back, man. That's a scary team too. That rotation's pretty legit top to bottom now, and as long as the bullpen there holds up, they can do some damage. What do you think?
I forgot about this. They also brought back David Robertson from the Cubs, who's having a very solid year. So Philly is making a flurry of moves today. I think Syndergaard's good, not great. I don't know where he'd slot in that rotation, probably towards the back half, even though he's not traditional Thor, and I don't think the velocity is there anymore. But, a sub-4 ERA for a guy like this, not bad. I don't know. I feel like that's a pretty solid move. But yeah, I think the Phillies were not happy with their current situation, and they went out and made all these moves today. So it remains to be seen whether they can catch the Braves and the Mets in the NL East. But I maybe that wild card. I forget if they're even in. I feel like they have one of those 3 wild card spots right now. Do a little thing on the fly. And yeah, the Phillies have the third. They have the third wild card slot. So big things on the horizon maybe.
So they're ahead of the Braves? Or
no,
the Mets?
The Mets and the Braves. So it's Mets in first. Braves are in second. Braves are 3.5 back of the Mets, and then the Phillies are 10 out of first, but they have that third wild card.
Oh, so it's Padres, Braves, Phillies, or Braves, Padres, Phillies.
Padres, Phillies. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah, pretty interesting stuff there. I have another interesting one. Is Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo got traded. The Yankees and the Dodgers made a trade today. So the Yankees sent Joey Gallo to LA, and they got back Clayton Beeter, a Double-A pitcher who was the Dodgers' 15th best prospect, but he's currently getting beat up in Double-A this year. But Joey Gallo batting 159 this season, 106 strikeouts in 82 games. So not great, but obviously he's still good defensively. He's probably going to take a corner outfield spot while Chris Taylor is hurt. But obviously when Taylor comes back, he'll move over to the bench. I kind of like this for the Dodgers. That's a buy low. I think he can't possibly be as bad as he was in New York. Maybe the lights were a little too bright for Gallo. And who's to say he can't have a pretty good second half and be a valuable bench bat for the World Series run?
I totally agree. Listen, Gallo is what he is. All his underlying statistics, like hard hit percentage, things like that, are basically the same as his entire career. The average and power is down even a little bit more, but maybe like you said, the bright lights in New York got to him a little bit. Maybe that short porch in right field got to him a little too much, and he was really just trying to yank balls over there. I mean, totally could be. And he went from being the guy in Texas that every day he knew he was in the lineup, nothing to worry about, didn't matter. The fans, everyone knew what he was. Then he goes to New York, and it was like, I don't know. It's like fans expected him to be something different than what he was. Like, obviously, that the average is down, but you knew what you were getting, or you should have known what you were getting. Big power, pretty good on base, and just a good amount of strikeouts and not a great average, but good defensively. I think he just needs to get away from New York, and maybe LA is maybe LA isn't the best place to get away from New York from, but I think it's definitely a better situation. And for the Dodgers, yeah, absolutely. It's costing you a kid in Double-A to try to fix him or calm him down and let him do his thing. I think it's a great move. It's not like he's not Juan Soto, but it's not like the Dodgers were dying for good players either. They got some of those, but for his sake, and he's been very, I don't know if you've seen any of the articles in the Athletic and stuff, but he's been very open and honest about his time in New York and how it hasn't gone right. And if you don't think that he's upset with how it went in New York, or that it was probably miserable for him, and you can't get away from it. It doesn't matter how much. This is another thing that fans don't totally understand. It's like they think guys make all this money, and it just doesn't matter to them if they're playing good or not. Of course the money is great, and you don't have real problems when you're making that kind of money, but it doesn't take away from the suck of sucking. Sucking is not fun, no matter how much money you're making. So, I'm not saying feel bad for the guy, but I'm sure that it was not a good time for Gallo either, and that he's done some soul searching, and hopefully he can turn it around.
That's very well said.
I want the Padres to win, but whatever.
That's very well said. Yeah, I mean, yeah, batting 159 with 106 strikeouts in New York, where every day you have fans on your ass about that kind of stuff. I mean, that's gotta suck. I mean, I can't imagine showing up to the ballpark every day and having the Bronx faithful just rip you a new asshole every single day you show up. So, yeah, quite the change of scenery compared to Texas, where things are a little bit more friendly. I think back to one of those years, Gallo, I think, had 40 homers and 90 RBIs or something. So just, it's one of my favorite years ever. It's how do you do that? That's hard to do. You think there'd be some guys on base. But I have a potential Dodgers lineup for you that I wanted to read off. Betts, Freeman, Trey Turner, Will Smith, Justin Turner, Muncy, Bellinger, Gavin Lux, and Joey Gallo. Gallo's your 9-hole hitter, according to MLB Network's potential.
Dude, that's a really good lineup. Like you said, they're missing Chris Taylor. And they could switch Gallo in and out. But to me, the key for the Dodgers is those, the top 3 guys, are going to hit, and even Will Smith. If they can get close to the old Muncy and Bellinger, I mean, that lineup gets real scary. They're both struggling this year, but obviously Bellinger was an MVP, and Muncy's had some really, really good seasons. So if they can get any of that production back, man, that lineup starts to become pretty scary too. So we'll see how it goes.
One last thing. So actually, Gallo in 2018 had 40 homers and 92 RBIs, but in 2017 it was even funnier. He had 41 homers and 80 RBIs.
That's a combination of 2 things. Yeah, no one's on base, obviously, but also they probably didn't pitch to him very much when anybody was on base. So he just stood there and took his walks.
41 and 80. It's my favorite baseball thing ever. So shout out Joey Gallo, your newest LA Dodger. So we're kind of going back in time a little bit.
Yeah.
The San Diego Padres again acquired somebody impactful for this team. They acquired Josh Hader from the Milwaukee Brewers. So they shipped out their own closer, Taylor Rogers, as well as Dinelson Lumet and Robert Gasser and an outfield prospect, Drury Ruiz. So this is funny because Hader was number 1 in the league in saves with 29, and then Rogers was number 2 in the league in saves with 28. So I don't think I've ever seen the top 2 guys get flip-flopped like that. Hader's an all-star again this year. He led baseball with 29 saves, like I said, 4.24 ERA. But I think because of that, it was like he had a pair of really bad outings. But if you take those out, he had a 1.87 ERA in 33 and 2/3 innings. So, kind of that's a weird thing with relief pitchers in ERA where it's like you go out and you get shelled twice and automatically your ERA is like 3 times what it was. Rogers, like I said, second in baseball, 28 saves, 4.35 ERA. But he had like a 0.44 ERA through the first 20 and a third innings. And again, he got clobbered for an 8 ERA in 21 innings since then. To get probably the most dominant bullpen arm in baseball to add to the back end of a bullpen, and we already talked about all the other moves they made. Good God, the Padres are scary.
Yeah, this was the last one there. Hader is, probably the most dominant there is. It's such a crazy trade. You're right, because Taylor Rogers was the most dominant bullpen arm for the first 20 games of the season or whatever. He really was. And lately it has not gone well, total opposite, but obviously he can pitch. So it is funny to see those two swapped. And then Lumet, probably a good change of scenery for him. He struggled lately with some arm issues and stuff, but is also very, very good. I don't know Gasser, but Asturias just debuted earlier this year. I think he had like 60 stolen bases or something in the minor leagues before he came up, like something ridiculous. But fast,
Yep,
decent hitter. So that's a pretty good return for the old Brewers there, and they have Taylor Williams, who they can slide into that closer spot if they want. But man, Hader, I feel like the Padres been trying to get Hader for 2 years now, so they finally get it done. And you get to the 9th inning with the lead, you got a pretty good chance throwing that guy on the mound there. I've faced him. He's pretty good. So it was spring training. I missed a 1-0 fastball, 97 down the middle. And after that, I was like, well, fuck. That was the one. And he threw me a couple sliders after that. It was a good at bat, but he got me on a slider. I ended up on Pitching Ninja for the first time, so that was fun. But yeah, I like it. Padres are they're my team, man. Biases aside, and they also are going to get Drew Pomeranz back, who's back end of the bullpen kind of guy. I think he just left on a minor league rehab, so they add that lefty to the pen too. They're I'm excited to see how it plays out. Snap grade A for the Padres. B+. Actually, I like this trade for both sides. I think both sides are getting something here, but it is kind of weird that the Brewers traded Hader, but I got an A for the Padres and a B+ for the Brewers.
So I just want to get this right. Josh Hader, good, right? According to yes, put that on the quote board. Josh Hader is good. I think the Brewers really felt comfortable making this deal because Devin Williams is the name of
Devin Williams.
Yeah,
Taylor Williams is my guy I played with, my buddy. Sorry, Devin Williams. After I said that, I'm like, that didn't sound right in my head.
It didn't feel right.
Yeah, Devin Williams. Yeah, Taylor Williams, another pitcher. I think he's with the Mariners now. Was with the Padres. Good dude. Sorry.
Devin Williams has a 1.59 ERA and he was an all-star. So, but yeah, cleaning up. What's his name? Esteury Ruiz. 60 stolen bases between AA and AAA this year. Guy's fast as hell. Dinelson Lumet this year, 9.49 ERA. So changes.
Finished top 5 in Cy Young in 2020. I mean, Nelson's got some good stuff. He's just he had some arm troubles and got demoted, and I think it's a good change of scenery. He has the potential and has done it to be a pretty dominant pitcher.
I like it. I would second your grades. I'd say A's all around. I think everybody wins. Why everybody should win in these trades if you're trading away these guys. And also it's the 1 and 2 guys in safes, so it's like, it's
Yeah.
pretty even, I feel like. I have something that's not even, and this trade, it hurts, it cuts deep, and we're going to get it all out in the open for you. So there's a 3-team trade involving the Orioles, the Rays, and the Astros. The Orioles get Seth Johnson from the Rays. They get Chase McDermott from the Astros. The Rays get Jose Siri, and then the Astros pick up this guy, Jaden Murray, and also Trey Mancini. So Seth Johnson, we're going to give it a little background before I go into my little diatribe against the Orioles here. Seth Johnson was the 40th overall pick in 2019. He's about to have Tommy John surgery, but before that in the minors, he had a sub-3 ERA. He's going to be out till 2024, and then McDermott, the other guy the Orioles picked up, has a 5.5 ERA and high A ball. So, I don't really know what they're going to get there. Mancini was the heart and soul of this Orioles team since 2016 when he came up as a rookie, and I think he had a homer in his first at-bat. I want to say off of Eduardo Rodriguez of the Red Sox, another Orioles legend. But this guy, I mean, what can you say about him that hasn't already been said? Beat cancer, comeback player of the year, home run derby runner-up. He was the face of some god-awful Orioles teams that would lose 110 plus, and he was the only guy you could feel comfortable owning a jersey of his because you're like, we got Trey. We got Trey Mancini still here. For the organization to deal him being only 2.5 games out of a wild card, and they're above 500 for the first time since God knows when, it's a joke. There was no reason to trade him, and then there was especially no reason to trade him for what they got back. A guy that's going to be out for the next year and a half, 2 years, and a guy who's getting shelled in A-ball. That's a slap in the face to all the Orioles fans that have put up with all this losing for the past 5 years or whatever it's been. And for the organization to put out this cold statement from Mike Elias that's like, well, we projected the probability that we would get a wild card, and we didn't like our chances of maybe getting a wild card, and this Seth Johnson projects as a mid-rotation starter in 2032. Or he didn't actually put that in there, but pretty much. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get after Tommy John surgery. It sucks. There's no rationalizing this. Nobody could tweet me anything that could rationalize trading Trey Mancini. And then Elias is like, well, you never know. We could bring him back. We'll have to wait till the offseason. I hope he doesn't come back. He's too good for us. Trey Mancini is. He's too good for us. So that was my little rant. I'm still not happy about it. That one cut deep. And there's not. I don't understand how somebody making $10 million had to be sold, for guys that we won't see for 5 years. So I don't know. I'm gonna let you jump in here while I try to cool down.
This is your guy. I'm not going to try to make you feel better. This sucks. I feel bad for the Orioles fans. You said it well. They're not far out of the wild card. Do I think they're going to get a wild card? No, I do not. But definitely doesn't send a great message. I don't know the guys they got back. They must think very highly of at least one of those guys. But it's not Trey Mancini. Trey, I've played against Trey he went to Notre Dame, so I played against him since freshman year of college, and just always remember thinking this guy looks so awkward in the box, but then every time he swings, it's an absolute missile somewhere. I would play him on the track in center field, literally, and I played him in summer ball too. I played against him a ton in college. And it's the same thing, man. I'm like, this guy, his swing was way more awkward back then, but every ball was absolutely smoked. And he's turned into obviously a great big leaguer. Wish him nothing but the best. It's a crazy situation. You said it all. Interesting to me, Jose Siri to the Rays. I played with Siri with the Reds. I'm interested to see how that works out and how that fit is. Super talented guy. Kind of broke in finally last year and put up some decent numbers. Has struggled more this year, but I feel like he's a guy who could flourish with the Rays and it could be really good, or it could go not so good. So I'm interested to see how that happens. But man, he can play some center field and he's got some juice too. But just kind of a random weird trade all around, if I'm being honest. I was pretty surprised when this one kind of came down.
Just a slap in the face to all the Orioles fans who had hope. It was like, oh my God, could they be in the postseason for the first time since 2016 when they got beat in the wild card game? A team that nobody remotely thought would be good and whose World Series odds were like 10 million to 1. Like, is this their year that they shock the world? And then the Orioles just took their white glove off with all 5 fingers out and they just smacked the fans across the face with it. Said, no, you're going to continue to be bad for 5 more years and you're going to like it, God damn it. So that's what the Orioles did today. Is they gave us a cold white glove slap to the face and they said, have fun with these prospects that are getting Tommy John surgery. Are you kidding me? The only guy of substance that we got back is having Tommy John surgery. So, all right, that's again, I'm getting all red in the face about it. Trying to work through some things, but I am deeply upset with the Orioles this week. So, that is the Trey Mancini trade. Other news: Austin Riley, Atlanta Braves. Talk about a franchise that does right by their homegrown guys. They've signed their star third baseman to a 10-year, $212 million contract. He'll make 15 next season, 21 in 2024, and then 22 million annually through 2032. Guy's just 25 years old, 29 home runs in 101 games this year. First in the NL in slugging. People forget that. 603 slugging percentage this year. Brian, what does this deal signify for the Braves? And how much credit can you take for this, given the advice you gave him way back in Double A ball?
Yeah, I think he owes me at least 10 million, but we'll talk about that later. Listen, what a great hitter he's turned into, man. World Series champion. He just flat out rakes. He did forever. I swear, the first time we played against him in Double A, he went like 12 for 13 with hits and homers, line to line. I'm like, we can't get this guy out. And he's been phenomenal, really has. They now have him, Albies, Acuna, all locked up, and Olsen all locked up for years. They got the kid Harris in center field now. He just made it. It just came up this year, so they have him for 6 more years. The Braves are building a pretty good position player crew there that is going to be around for a while. So they're scary. I'm happy for him, man. He's a good dude. He honestly deserves it. He's just been a rock for them lately. Only 25, like you said, leading the league or leading the NL in slugging. And I think the craziest thing about this is I think those guys that I said, like, they have them all locked up for like $64 million a year. That's insane. Because Acuna and Albies took a little bit of a lighter deal, and good for the Braves. It's gonna give them the opportunity to get some other really good players. But it goes to show those guys love it there, and yeah, Atlanta takes care of their homegrown guys. And they listen. After last year, I feel like they could just make another run, and I would be like, yeah, I'm not surprised.
That's just a first-class organization. It really is. Like, you think of like some organizations around the league that just like top to bottom are just built solidly. I think of the Cardinals as one of those that are like year in, year out, like everything about them is solid. I think Atlanta is up there now. They, like you said, they lock all their homegrown guys up to these kind of team-friendly deals for 10 plus years. It always feels like, they go out and they win a World Series. And last year at the trade deadline, they just acquired a brand new outfield. So, kind of like how you said that AJ Preller always is trying and always is trying to put forth an effort to make the team better every single day. I feel like the Atlanta Braves are doing that. So, shout out to them. If you're a Braves fan, it's a pretty good time right now to be down there in the ATL. So, are they not one of the best like solidly core built teams? You feel like?
I feel like now, man, those 4 guys right there. That's a great start. I'm sure I'm missing guys, pitchers, and things like that, but those dudes can swing it. And It's just from the outside, it seems like they got a lot of things going right. It's funny you mentioned the Cardinals. One thing we didn't talk about real fast was they
Oh yeah,
traded Harrison Bader to the Yankees, which was a pretty interesting trade there. Yankees getting a center fielder, and Yankees sending back Jordan Montgomery to the Cardinals, who's a pretty good pitcher. So interesting one there. I know they were in on Soto for a while, but obviously that didn't happen. Who's the other one we missed? Oh, Tyler Mahle to the Twins. Interesting one. Um, and then your Orioles sent another guy to the Twins too, Lopez,
Jorge Lopez.
Jorge
Yep,
Lopez.
a
But
guy that was making absolutely no money and was like arbitration eligible for the next like 3 or 4 years. Sent to the Twins. So that one I'm not, as beat up
yeah,
about, but yeah, kind of is a great wrap up of some of the under the radar kind of lesser known trades there. The Yankees one is interesting though.
that when I saw that, I was like, I don't know, it just seemed I was just surprised. I don't know. I felt like they like Bader in center field there, but I guess they have Carlson who could play there, and the Cardinals have some young guys who played pretty well this year, so I guess they can shuffle that outfield around. But the Yankees get a center fielder who's also from New York originally, so good for him. But yeah, man, just what a excuse me, it started last night, and yeah, when I woke up this morning and I was like scrolling through trade rumors, going, "Oh my goodness, it's just like nonstop." There's just and more every time I go down. So what a day! That was fun, man. And now we get to see how the rest of the season plays out.
Absolutely. All right, so we have two last things for you guys. We have our Fudging Awesome Moment of the Week, and then we'll end with our Joe Musgrove Performance of the Week. But for our Fudging Awesome Moment of the Week, who is it brought to us by?
Brought to us by the original Fudge Kitchen. You can find them at fudgekitchens.com. Shipping sweet treats all over the country. God, their Instagram page kills me. I got to stop looking because that fudge, I don't think it makes it to Japan, but it will make it to Gulf Breeze, Florida when I get home. Our Jersey Shore and Philly listeners, they have locations in Cape May, North Wildwood, Stone Harbor, and Ocean City. Go check them out if you're down there. It's the original Fudge Kitchen. And if you're anywhere else in the United States, our Padres fans, if you want to celebrate the Soto trade with some fudge, you can go to fudgekitchens.com and get it shipped right to your door.
So our Fudging Awesome Moment of the Week this week. So on July 28th, I think that was last Thursday, and his last at bat in Camden Yards, and I think that was his last at bat as an Oriole too. Trey Mancini hit an inside the park home run off of our good friend and podcast guest Josh Lowe's face. We won't really mention that too much, but just a standing ovation. Got a curtain call for Trey for everything that he's done for the Orioles, but inside the park home run. Again, we won't mention that it came off what happened with the ball and how we got the inside the park home run. That doesn't really matter.
What a way to get sent off for Trey. I'm really happy for him, and that's all I'm gonna say about that play.
I think that's very diplomatic of us. So congrats to Trey for getting your standing ovation and an inside the park home run for a guy that it's not really known for wheels. Trey Mancini. So that was pretty fun. I'm sorry, Josh. I'm sorry.
Shout out Taylor Williams.
Yep. Oh my God. All right. Last but not least this week, we have the Joe Musgrove inaugural guest performance of the week. And this goes out to none other than Joe Musgrove himself. Joe Musgrove has finalized a 5-year, $100 million extension with the Padres. It pays an even $20 million in salaries each year between 2023 and 27, full no trade clause for the next 4 seasons, and limited no trade protection for 2027, which is hilarious. Like if you're going to do 4 years, full no trade, why not just make it 5? But I don't think anybody's really paying attention to that. Java Joe's staying in his hometown. How excited were you when you saw that?
So happy for him, man. That's the dream, right? He when he was on here, he talked about it. He got to play in Houston and then in Pittsburgh, so he kind of played in other places, and he got to come back home, and now he's probably going to get to finish his career or close to it at home. He's got a house out there now, so he's got his family there, man. It's amazing, but it's just a perfect marriage, right? he's obviously pitched extremely well. He's earned this contract, but more than that, I mean, he's just embraced San Diego, obviously his hometown, but they've embraced him. It's just been such a perfect fit, really, the entire time. He threw the first no hitter in franchise history last year. I mean, it couldn't be more perfect. I'm glad they worked it out, and it would have been weird to see him go anywhere else after what he's done for the Padres and just how great it's been. So man, so happy for Joe, happy for his family. Padres now they got some guys locked down for a little bit too. You know, Manny, Joe, and Toddy, and we'll see who else. But man, just happy for Joe. That is the dream right there.
No doubt. All right, as we kind of wrap up here on what has probably been one of the wildest trade deadlines in recent memory, let's do a couple final thoughts. What has really stuck out with you? Any winners and losers that you want to declare, so we can clip that and get some views? What do you think?
I mean, Padres are the winners to me. That's all the things they did, getting Soto. That's a generational player. I think that makes a huge difference. And he's already won a World Series, so he's been there. He knows what it's about. I think he fits right in. He's got Toddy and Manny there, and I can't wait to see that lineup out there. I really can't. Can't wait to watch them play against the Dodgers. Loser. I'm trying to think of losers.
I got one.
Go ahead. What do you got on losers?
Chicago Cubs. What are you doing? What are you doing, Chicago Cubs? Wilson Contreras and Ian Happ hugged each other. There was probably tears involved. They're like, all right, sayonara, we're leaving. The Cubs are one of the worst teams in baseball. And then they don't trade either of them. What? I mean, I don't think the Cubs and Contreras have had contract talks since 2018. I think that's what they said on MLB Network today. There's no indication that they're going to bring him back, but I don't know if their asking price was too high or what for either of those guys. But what are you doing, Chicago Cubs?
Thank you for saying that, because before we started this, I wanted to mention that. Man, I can't believe they didn't trade those guys. It seemed like it was a foregone conclusion that they were shipped out of there. And yeah, Hap is still under control, so Hap isn't as weird as Contreras, but Contreras, I don't know. I feel like you got to try to extend him now, right? He's just going to walk for nothing.
Yeah, that would be an epic failure if he just decided to go into free agency and didn't even attempt to offer him an extension now.
The only thing I could think of was that the only partner they were really lining up with would be San Diego. And because of all the guys getting sent to Washington, the Soto and Bell trade ended up not matching up with the Cubs for Contreras or Hap, whatever, if they wanted Contreras. So maybe that's what happened. But yeah, man, that was the one when I was looking when I woke up this morning, I'm like, did they happen Contreras? Where'd they go?
Yeah, exactly.
So thank you for saying that. Yes. Very interesting.
Giants also hung on to Jock Peterson and Rondon. Didn't deal with either of those. They did trade Darren Ruff, though.
Oh, yeah. Darren Ruff, that sneaky trade there. Darren Ruff can really hits lefties well. But yeah, that's I think you assume Rodon's going to opt out after this year because he hit whatever innings threshold it was for him to have the opt out. Peterson 1-year deal. I don't know. Maybe they go back. The Giants aren't. I don't know. I feel like the Giants never end up selling. They didn't trade Bumgarner when he was it was the end of his deal and some things like that. So, but who knows?
Yeah. So
dude, this was just nuts. I still can't believe some of this thing. All the stuff that happened, dude. It's crazy. It really is. It was a lot of fun even though it didn't help me sleep. It was a lot of fun to just see all the things that were going on. I love the battle between the writers on Twitter too. How it's just firing tweets off, and then I'll see 3 in a row that are basically the same exact sentences. But it's just it cracks me up. I love it.
Who's your go-to writer for stuff like this?
Ooh,
I thought Rosenthal was a little slow on the draw today. I think all his Twitter was underwhelming. There were some under the radar guys like John Heyman was coming in hot. I feel like Passan was solid. Mark
yeah.
Feinsand, I want to say.
Feinsand, yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like Passan is like if he says it, it's basically happening. Although I think he said Scherzer was going to the Padres last year, and that obviously didn't happen. But yeah, there's I remember there was one. It was like I think it was John Morosi. He's I think MLB Network, and it was Nightingale, and it was like, dude, it was like Nightingale random tweet Morosi, and it was like talking about Hosmer and the no trade clause, and Nightingale's said that there was no ongoing negotiations between the Padres and Hosmer for the no trade to waive the no trade clause, and then Morosi's, which was 12 seconds apart, said like negotiations are ongoing between the Padres and Hosmer for the no trade
nobody
clause.
knows. Yeah,
And then I forget who it was, but there was somebody involved with San Diego like screenshotted it on his Twitter and like put it up there and was like, oh, like just the total opposites saying. So man, just pure chaos. Love it.
I think if I had to pick one of those guys to go to war with and believe everything they said as gospel, it probably would be Passan, I guess. I feel like he's pretty much on top of it.
Yeah, I would agree with that statement.
Yeah,
Old Jet
Passan. But all right, man. Well, hey, same time next year at trade deadline. So who are the Nationals going to trade next? Hey, you know what? The Nationals can finally build around their long-term plan of Nelson Cruz. So
there you go.
That's one positive to come out of this. DH of the future, Nelson Cruz. So that's
Nelson Cruz.
That's what we're really
staying for the first time, man. What a
10-year deal income.
What a good time.
Yep.
Hey, good work. 25th episode down. Crazy trade deadline. It's here's 25 more.